We welcome you to the home of the champions at NOEVIR Stadium, where Vissel Kobe are still waiting for their first victory of the new J-League season, having begun their title defence with 3 straight draws so far. Before today's visit of bottom club Avispa Fukuoka, the only team to have lost their first 3 fixtures in what has been such a difficult start under new coach Kim Myung-hui. And this promises to be equally difficult today at the home of the 2-time defending champions, as Avispa make the lengthy trip northeast from Fukuoka to Kobe, the capital of Hyogo Prefecture in the Kansai region of Honshu. It's a fixture Vissel have dominated recently, winning the last 5 meetings between the clubs since losing home and away in the J-League Cup quarter-finals in August of 2022. Vissel haven't even conceded a goal in any of those 5 victories. Five changes for Vissel Kobe today from the midweek draw here with Kyoto Sanka. The selection may be with Wednesday's Champions League last 16 first leg in mind, as a number of regulars are rested, including Mateus Tula and Rikuto Hirose in the back 4. So there's a first ever J1 start for Mitsuki Hidaka and a first of the season for Takuya Iwanami. Takehiro Ogihara, Haruya Ida and Yuya Osako are also given breathers on the bench for this one, meaning a J1 debut for 19-year-old Rikuto Hashimoto, a first league start for 17-year-old Kento Hamasaki, who made his debut on Wednesday, and a first start of the season for Kakeru Yamauchi. It's the third J1 game of the season for referee Masuya Ueda, who took charge of Kashiwa Racing's midweek win over Cerezo Osaka. Akihiko Ikuchi heads up the VAR team, assisted by Satoshi Karakami. Avispa Fukuoka have also made 5 changes from Wednesday, when they were beaten at home by Kawasaki Frontale, including in goal, where Masaki Murakami is recalled in favour of new signing Yuma Obata. Daiki Matsuoko and Kazuki Fujimoto come back in place of Hiroki Akino and Taki Shishi, who dropped to the bench, as do Takeshi Kanamori and Shintaro Nago, as Kasuya Kane is recalled, and Yuji Kitajima makes his first start of the season. Nassim Ben Khalifa keeps his place, having scored against Frontale last time out on his first league start for the club. Takayuki Yoshida leading his team to the domestic double last season. Champions League commitments to come in midweek as well. But Kim Myung-hui has started with 3 straight defeats in charge of Avispa Fukuoka since taking over for this season, stepping up from his role as assistant at Machida Zelvia. Difficult job as well to come into, taking over a team who had been so successful really relatively under their former coach Shigetoshi Hasebe, who was instead in charge of the Kawasaki Frontale team who beat them in midweek. Avispa in a 5th successive top flight season finished a comfortable 12th in the table under Hasebe last year. They've maybe been on the wrong end of some fine margins so far, with all 3 of their opening defeats being by just 1 goal. This would be some place to kickstart their campaign. Week 4 in J1 then, and both these clubs still in search of their first victory of the new J-League season. Reset required at kick-off. Unbeaten Vissel need to turn draws into wins. Avispa, the last remaining team, yet to pick up a point. So Vissel Kobe in their crimson colours, off on the front foot, trying to launch the first attack of the game, having started in a stuttering fashion so far this season. Campaign in 2025 in which they have played twice as many matches already as their opponents, including the Super Cup and their 2 remaining league phase games in the Asian Champions League. Qualification clinched through to the round of 16, first leg of which is coming up on Wednesday. That game has had an impact, I think, on the relatively inexperienced selection today. A number of young players getting their opportunity, with some regulars rested to the bench, in addition to an injury crisis, I think you could probably call it, for Vissel Kobe at the start of the new season, with a further 10 players currently unavailable to coach Yoshida. His team under some pressure early on here as Fujimoto swings in the cross, which was just about dealt with. Avispa Fukuoka looking to take advantage maybe of the time of the season in which they catch Vissel Kobe here. It could be an opening for them. As could this from the corner to come. Kitashima to take it, making his first start of the season, having come off the bench in defeat at Gamba Osaka, his only previous appearance so far in 2025. It's his 7th senior season with the club, though, having risen through the ranks in Fukuoka. He's going to assume responsibility for the corner. Ben Khalifa will be an obvious target. The Swiss striker is in there. It hasn't been dealt with yet, but nobody could quite get the shot away, to the relief of Daya Maikawa, the goalkeeper, who comes away with it in the end. Finding a threat in front of goal is the challenge for Avispa Fukuoka this season. They were so strong defensively last year, but they were the lowest scorers in J1 last year, despite that mid-table finish. A number of new players brought in to try and provide that threat, and they are playing a different way under the new coach Kim from what we've seen so far. A bit more involved in the build-up, not quite as direct as last year, but Ben Khalifa there will offer them a target up top. Wanami, the defender who came across with him as Ben Khalifa went down. Missed most of last season, his first season at the club through injury. So the midweek start was his first in J1 for the club. He former Sanfrecce player, heavily involved again here as the decision goes the other way. Certainly had to be patient, has Nassim Ben Khalifa, for his opportunity in the starting lineup. He's been heavily involved early on. Missed most of last season with that torn thigh muscle. So Maikawa, the Japanese international goalkeeper, couple of caps for his country, the last of which came last summer. We'll clear this one away. Kobe born following in the footsteps of Dad Kazuya, also an international goalkeeper. Very much the first choice for the champions. He missed just one game of their successful title defence last season. And will come all the way through to his opposite number, Murakami, despite what went on in between. Sasaki was the scorer of the dramatic late equalising goal on Wednesday, 11 minutes into stoppage time, to preserve their unbeaten start, earn a third straight draw in J1 in the Kansai derby against Kyoto Sanga. They trailed since the 13th minute of the match in midweek. They scored in the 101st to pinch a point. With Urawa Reds, 0-0 on opening weekend, and 2-2 at Nagoya Grampus as well, in defence of their title. There's a better ball, but it's guided back to Murakami. Notable change in the Avispa Fukuoka goal for this one. Murakami, who was the regular for much of last season, had begun this one on the bench, but is recalled today in place of the new signing, Yuma Obata, who began the first three. Referee content to let that continue. Yamauchi, who'd won it well. Hamasaki taking over. Good day for Kento Hamasaki, his first J1 start at the age of just 17. He's still technically a Type 2 player in the club's youth ranks, but he made his senior J1 debut off the bench on Wednesday and played his first ever game for the club last year in the Emperor's Cup. Matsuda with the throw. Experienced addition from Gampo Osaka, but hasn't had a lot of football recently. He did start on Wednesday and keeps his place today, but that was his first appearance since September. And without the regular right back Kosakai at the moment, and will be for a while with a thigh injury. Said to be sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks, the club said a few days ago. Suffered that injury on opening day. Uzawa trying to lead the charge for Avispa Fukuoka. Given the additions that they made, particularly in attacking areas this season, harboured much higher expectations and ambitions than we've seen at the start of the season, with those desperately disappointing 3 straight defeats. It'll be a season of transition, but they're nowhere near where they expect to be. There's Fujimoto. There's already a bit of pressure on Coach Kim, reportedly coming into this. They need to put things right as quickly as possible. They have it back here, Kitishima and Fujimoto trying to combine. Fujimoto followed Coach Kim from Machida Zelvia for this season, one of the new signings, providing the cross. Ando was joining in with the attack as well. This is Kitishima. Kuwasaki able to clear. Where the goalkeeper is to deal with that one. Has to hurry back again though, having presented possession back to the home side. It was Nanasai Ino. operating this more advanced role this season. Can play right back, but has been playing right wing. Second straight start, having come into the team for the first time this season on Wednesday. Kamajima took the free kick quickly. And here is Yuzawa. Hashimoto doing his defensive duties, but still the danger. Clearance wasn't convincing either from Ino. Fujimoto. Ando. Back for Kazuki Fujimoto. Ino doing plenty of defensive duties at the moment. There's the skill set required to be comfortable in those sort of positions, certainly. It's Matsuoka working it wider, and the ball will be whipped back in, out only as far as Fujimoto to try and curl one towards that far top corner. Not quite, but some encouraging signs for Avispa Fukuoka. A little bit of space when it came the way here of Fujimoto. 3 previous career goals in this league. One of them came last season for Machida Zelvia. He was a regular in the team that mounted a title challenge and fell short, of course, only on the final day. Vissel Kobe clinching their crown with a win on the last match day of last season. Ended up, because of other results, 4 points clear of everybody else. But already having to play catch up a little bit this season, having started with those 3 straight draws. At this stage of the season, maybe the continental commitments take priority. Coach Yoshida emphasising both competitions equally important. Rotating is difficult, though, because of the injuries that they have right now. Fujimoto heavily involved early on, getting it back from Miki. Unable to force his way through, though. A good spell for the visitors. Needed the intervention of the captain Tashiro there to prevent the counter. Who brought up a century of J1 appearances on Wednesday. The former Sagan Tosu player was recalled to the starting lineup. Began against Kawasaki Frontale. Big battle between he and Sasaki today. I certainly want to keep an eye on. Matsuda with a throw. Hidaka. He's filling in really at left back because of injuries. It's not his preferred position, but it's where the first team opening has emerged for him. Defensive midfield player really by trade. He's played right back as well already this season, lining up on the left today. This is his first ever start in J1. He did start the Super Cup, and he's played from the off in the Champions League as well already. Kono making the run here. Plenty back to deal with the cross. Didn't quite come for Tashiro initially. Now he has work to do. Touch for Yuzawa. Kazuya Kono. Tashiro. There's Yuzawa trying to create some space for the cross. Plenty of early possession for the visitors. They've made this lengthy trip northeast today. Not scored, remember, in the last 5 meetings between these clubs, all of them in J1. All of them Vissel Kobe victories. Did a double in this fixture in each of the last 2 seasons. A pocket of space for Kitejima. Kono. Very quickly back to his feet here. Support from Yuzawa to try and provide the cross, just too high. But the early pressure continues. And even the clearance charge down, albeit a painful one for Matsuoka. He's back in the starting lineup today, straight back in the starting lineup today, having begun the first couple of games of the campaign. There was plenty behind that, wasn't there? Second season since his signing from Shimazu S-Pulse, the former under-23 international. Just past 150 appearances in the top flight of Japanese football as Daiki Matsuoka. His contribution recognised by the travelling fans there. As that Matsuda waits to take the throw. Yamakawa forward. There was almost as much height as there was distance on that. Will come for Sasaki. He's been the first choice up front at the start of the season. Still no Yoshinori Muto, hasn't featured yet this year. Also no given a breather on the bench today. The injury list is a lengthy one though for Vissel Kobe. Still yet to see the new signing Caetano, the centre-back who joined in January from Corinthians. He's yet to feature. Sakai, as I mentioned, out with a thigh injury. No Itaguchi yet this season either. No Miyashiro, who was the top scorer last year in all competitions. All still unavailable. Well, they do have options here, Vissel Kobe. Hashimoto unable really to profit from them. Fujimoto getting it back again, looking for Ben Khalifa. Gets the nod over Wellington to start the game today. The veteran Brazilian is on the Avispa bench, back on familiar territory, having previously played for Vissel Kobe. May see him at some stage. Tomoya Ando. To another of the new signings, Tomoya Miki. He joined from Tokyo Verdy, who was a regular last season on their return to J1. Neatly done by Kitashima. Fujimoto with a chase on. Well, the early pattern has been established, hasn't it? Avispa Fukuoka with more of the ball, asking plenty of the early questions. Kobe's biggest threat so far has appeared to be on the counter-attack. There's a significant shift in style for Avispa this season under the new coach. Matsuda will get it back again, and this time goes long. Teshiro guard it back to Murakami. Kept 9 clean sheets in J1 last season. This is 25 starts in this division. They were impressive defensively last year. In fact, only 3 teams conceded fewer goals in J1. And they all finished in the top 4. And under pressure was Kuwasaki, and has lost out against Ben Khalifa here, who's able to slip it through for Kono. Big chance, and a whisker wide. Kazuya Kono might feel he should have scored though, having popped up in that position. All came about after Yuyu Kuwasaki was caught in possession inside his own half by Nassim Ben Khalifa. He picked the right pass, but Kono couldn't quite find the finish. Well, Ben Khalifa. Nice weight of ball as well. Kono was just able to take that touch to set himself, and it didn't miss by much. But from there, he would have backed himself to hit the target, I'm sure. Player who scored 6 times last season. Still looking for his first of the new campaign. 4 shots without reply inside these opening 20 minutes for Avispa Fukuoka. They've had more of the possession, but that came after Kuwasaki lost possession for the home team. There's Yamakawa. To miss a minute this season. He only missed 1 match actually against Machida Zelvia in the whole of last season in J1. Murakami just had time to complete his clearance, and that will be a free kick. Referee weighed up right on the scene. It's gone against Ben Khalifa this time. Off the ground, wasn't he? And the contact came. Matsuda. There's Ino. Cross comfortably cut out and cleared. Really got started yet, Vissel Kobe today. Only won 1 of their 6 games in all competitions so far this season. That was the Asian Champions League win against Shanghai Port. Victories in 4, 3 draws and 1 defeat since then. They do remain unbeaten here at home this season. They've only lost 1 of their last 13 home games in J1. Defeat to FC Tokyo in the middle of October. Trying to impose themselves on the game here. But again, losing possession, although Ben Khalifa's ball was cut out by Hidaka. Not too much by way of protest after he went down. 4th senior season already for Mitsuki Hidaka at the age of 21. Joined the club straight from high school. But only really this season is he getting his chance to play regularly in the first team. Chance afforded him because of injuries to others. He even played centre-back in the Champions League game that he started the other week. So 3 different positions this season, and none of them his preferred position in midfield. He'll play anywhere he says to get a game. Options a little restricted for Yoshida right now. So many missing at a stage of the season where they have so many matches in the different competitions. They were beaten in that Super Cup by Sanfrecce Hiroshima. It's a game against Gwangju of South Korea next for them. The first leg of that round of 16 tie in the Asian Champions League elite competition is at home on Wednesday, with the return in South Korea a week later. So their scheduled J-League game in between has been postponed and switched to the summer. Means they do have next weekend off. And they won't return to league action after today until a trip to Inform Shonan Bellmare, the early pace setters. It's 2 weeks tomorrow. Free kick conceded by Matsuoka as we reach the midway point of the first half. Avispa Fukuoka with the better and more frequent chances so far. For a frustration will be that they haven't been able to make those count. And just signs of Vissel Kobe finding a foothold. Matsuda to take. And the clearance wasn't convincing and could come straight back at Kobe, but Yamakawa able to intervene. Not for long. Here's Kono. He's had the best chance so far. Linking with Yuzawa. To combine again. Third straight start for Masato Yuzawa, having come off the bench on opening weekend. He forced his way into the team since then. Kitajima. Awkward one for Kamijima. One of the new signings at centre-back from Yokohama F. Marinos. Relatively similar squad for Vissel Kobe to the one that did the domestic double last season. They haven't lost too many. Notably Ryo Hatsushi, I guess, who left at the end of his deal and has since signed for Sheffield Wednesday in the English Championship. That one didn't quite come for Sasaki. Murakami was alert. Kitajima, wider for Fujimoto. Got players back in position defensively again, Vissel Kobe here. Fujimoto, Kitajima. Those two have seen plenty of it without yet really being able to pick a way through. Interesting tactical tussle, two very different styles on show so far. Free kick for Avispa here. Kamijima felt that one. Bit of a role reversal really between he and Sasaki. Look there as if the defender went clattering into Daiji Sasaki. He's now in his 8th senior season already, having risen through the ranks at the club. Opened his account for the campaign against Kyoto Sanka on Wednesday. Might count himself a bit unfortunate there. Referee lets that one go. Fujimoto does eventually commit the foul and concede the free kick. Matsuda, the defender involved with him. Those two have been relatively well acquainted already. Be left for Maikawa to clear. Yamakawa. Iwanami. It's a very youthful Vissel Kobe side. A number of teenagers getting their chance. Hamasaki and Hashimoto both starting today. Too close to Murakami in goal. It's Yuzawa that went down just in front of him. Former Vanfare Kofu and Kashiwa Reysol player. Avispa themselves in a 5th successive season now back in the top tier. And of course they were J-League Cup winners in 2023, the first major trophy in their history. Not really dealt with the danger here though, Sasaki. Touch let him down a little, but still the possibilities. Tashiro had a couple of bites at trying to get that clear. It comes back for Sasaki. And 3 in the middle. Back defending Ben Khalifa. Gets it away, but maybe not as far away as he wanted. Matsuda. It was neatly done by Hamasaki. Ino. Kawajima was with him. Ben Khalifa, strong in those sort of situations, isn't he? Brings Matsuoka into it. And he wriggles into a little bit of room. Finds Yuzawa. Taiki Matsuoka once more. Kamajima. Returned to the club for this season, having previously had a loan spell back in 2020. A couple of years he had with F. Marinos. He was a regular for them last season. 26 starts in J1. Closing in on a century of appearances in the top flight now across his career. Kitajima. Avispa continue to press and probe, but not really getting anywhere just at the moment. Matsuoka, that might change here. He goes cross-field for Fujimoto. He's given it. He's in a good position to make an assessment of that. As Matsuda stepped in. He got nowhere near the ball. Can't really have too many complaints, it won't stop him. But the free kick will follow for those from Fukuoka, in a promising position here. Looks like Kitashima's going to take it. They did actually score the first goal in midweek, went in front through Ben Khalifa against Frontale. Conceded the equaliser just before half-time, and what proved to be the winning goal 5 minutes from the end of the 90. To leave them still without a point, the only team without a point through the first 3 fixtures. This is the first of back-to-back away games for Avispa, who go to Kyoto Sanga a week tomorrow. Tempting challenge for them, but they've risen to it so far. They've taken the game to the champions. They have plenty of possibilities in the penalty area here, awaiting the free kick. Going on in the middle, as it's whipped in there and off the bar. Tashiro, the captain, was the target for that one, and is unlucky. Vissel Kobe survive a big scare and are still maybe trying to clear their heads here as they try and clear the latest danger. Ino helps it partially away. Throw will be taken quickly by Kitajima. As Tashiro reflects on the one that got away. Here's Miki. Fujimoto. Been the better side, haven't they, the visitors so far? Touch for Kono. Tashiro. Kazuya Kono once more. Combination between he and Yuzawa proving important in the opening half an hour plus. Matsuoka sweeping it forward. So we'll go back to Maikawa. Matsuda. Forward by Yamakawa. It's a testing ball that Sasaki will get on the end of, and cuts back the cross as well. He's looking for Ino in the middle. Fujimoto outnumbered. Doesn't get the free kick that he was hoping for. Vissel Kobe will have one here. Oh, the more clear cut. As Kento Hamasaki went down. No disputing that. Caught clearly by Kitashima. They had a big scare from a set piece at the other end moments earlier. Now they're trying to cause some alarm of their own. If Avispa were to concede from here, having gone so close at the other end, it might just sum up the way that their season has started. The frustrations that they're currently harbouring, because even in those three previous defeats there have been, certainly in patches, positive performances, signs of what could be to come under Kim. They need to remain switched on here. To take it, not with a huge amount of conviction. And it goes again, but Ino's not going to reach that. Murakami content in the knowledge that he was able to leave it. Vissel trying to press high here though. Beaten as well on the final day of last season, Avispa Fukuoka, so it is 4 straight defeats in J1, including that one. They last lost 5 in a row back in the summer of 2021. But Yoshida's side haven't really come close enough to threatening yet to extend that record. To continue to pile on the punishment for the visitors. It might be in again themselves here, with Kitashima scrapping for that, just taken away from him by Kuwasaki. Majima and Tashiro, the centre-backs combine. Yuzawa forward. Ben Khalifa. Clearance was by Hidaka. There's Yamauchi. His first start of the season. Only began the 3 league games last year. And it was his first senior season out of university. A number of these Vissel Kobe players really are effectively third choice at best in their positions. So Avispa sensing their chance, and you can see that from the way they've taken the game to Vissel. Just being pinned back a bit here at the moment, but that has been the exception rather than the rule. Ben Khalifa forward. He's the one, if anything, trying to get on the end of his own ball there. Well, they had a relatively slow start to their title defence last term. Found their form in the summer, certainly Vissel Kobe. Haven't quite got out of the blocks yet this time around either, and there is a caution in there, the first of the game. Shown to Hidaka for that. Matsuoka was on the receiving end. There's confirmation of the caution. Goes into the book on his first ever J1 start. The free kick to come is a little further out than some of those that have preceded it, but still an opportunity to get this into the penalty area perhaps. Kishima again has made his way up from the back, and Ben Khalifa will be obvious target. We've seen Tashiro come close from an earlier one. Come very close from an earlier one. He too is lurking with intent, waiting to make his move. Relatively comfortably cleared away, that one. Hashimoto didn't get too far though, didn't get the free kick he was wanting either. More I think in hope than expectation, his appeals there, and this could be threatening. Kitashima. What Vissel Kobe have done well is quickly get in position defensively. Plenty of numbers back behind the ball. Ben Khalifa still able to turn though. Miki wasn't dealt with, it was deflected and it's gone in! And they have somehow made their pressure pay. Little bit of fortune about it for Avispa Fukuoka, but they will certainly feel it's been merited. Given this first half display, given the way they've taken the game to the champions. Tomoya Miki, who scored his first goal for the club in the defeat at Gamba Osaka a couple of games ago, leading the celebrations here. Ben Khalifa played his part, came back towards Miki, big deflection, which took it over the goalkeeper, plenty of spin on the ball as well. And by the time it was cleared away, it was clearly over the line. Kawa just couldn't react to that deflection. And the attempt at clearing it really from Hidaka was an altogether unsuccessful one. So final 5 of the first half, and those from Fukuoka in front, as Kobe's difficult start to their title defence continues. They slotted straight into the starting lineup, Tomoya Miki, since his arrival from Tokyo Verdy, and he will claim that one. His effort looked to be on target despite the deflection. It did a lot of the damage. Second game in a row then in which they've scored first. They couldn't hold on against Kawasaki Frontale on Wednesday. Will we see a different story at the home of the champions today? Miki the first to score more than once for Avispa Fukuoka this season. They do have plenty in reserve, Vissel Kobe, a number of the regulars left on the bench. You expect we will see them in the second half. That will be a free kick against Fujimoto. He's looked a useful addition, Tomoya Miki, to this Avispa Fukuoka side. Only spent the last year at Tokyo Verdy, just a solitary season with them. 4 goals he got in J1 last year for the promoted side. They have lost it here. They have lost concentration at key times already in this first period. Not made to pay on that occasion. Miki, a player who spent most of his career with JEF United. Had 4 years with them. Scored a career best 14 goals for them in J2 in 2021. He's been a big contributor for Avispa Fukuoka. Key moments these late in the first half. The visitors are to take a lead into the interval. A lead they would certainly argue would be merited. By Yamakawa, there's Sasaki. Creates a little bit of space for himself. The shot always a shade too high. But he is perhaps the player most in the mood right now. Really the senior member of the attack in the absence of others. Daishu Sasaki today. Murakami knew he wasn't going to be required though when that left his boot. Plenty that will concern Takayuki Yoshida and the evidence of this first half. Early in the season it might be. On his first trophy as a manager when he took the team to the title in 2023 and followed it up with a double last year. He was their fourth manager of 2022. He has made the job his own since then, certainly. It was a third different spell in charge of Vissel Kobe, and by some margin his most successful. Actually stepped in halfway through that 2022 season to keep them up, keep them safe from relegation. They finished 2 points and 1 place above Avispa Fukuoka that year. The rest is history. So just the solitary minute added on at the end of the first half here. Nearly halfway through that, Vissel Kobe do look like they will be heading for the tunnel trailing. There's Yamakawa. Going behind in the first half for the second home game in a row. Yet to score first in any league game so far this season. And that is half-time, and it's the team who arrived on the bottom of the table, the only team without a point so far, who are in front at half-time at the home of the champions. That goal scored late in the first period, the deflected effort from Tomoya Miki, leaving Vissel Kobe with it all to do after the break if they're to avoid their first defeat of the season. The first win of the title defence looks a long way off just now on the evidence of that first half display. Avispa Fukuoka in front, and you have to say really deservedly so at half-time. Vissel Kobe 0, Avispa Fukuoka 1. So Vissel Kobe have it all to do then in the second half at NOEVIR Stadium, trailing by a goal to nil. And they have made changes. No surprise at this juncture in the circumstances that Yuya Osaka has been called for. The league's MVP when they took the title in 2023, scored 11 goals as they retained it last season. He and Rakuto Hiroshi are both on. Hashimoto and Hidaka making way. Two of those that came into the team today for their first starts. See them end early. Vissel Kobe turning to experience as they try and find a way back, because Avispa value for their lead at this stage. Osaka had started the first 3 games of this J1 season under Yoshida. Left on the bench with the Champions League in midweek in mind, but needs must. He's on for the second half here. And they're almost set to get the game back underway again then. Visitors trailing by that 1-0, leading by that 1-0, which has now gone down as an own goal. Avispa Fukuoka will get this second half started. Leading by a 1-0, scored 5 minutes before the end of the first period. Let's see what this second half has in store. It's a goal that has prompted changes from the champions. The introduction of Osaka is a statement of second half intent, certainly, by Takayuki Yoshida. Might always have been part of his plan to give him only half a game today, but well, this scoreline certainly wasn't in his script at this stage. And Hiroshi on as well for Hidaka at fullback. So Kobe immediately on the front foot as they try and undo some of the damage. Tomoyo Miki, who tried to claim the goal, was initially credited to him. We think it will go down as Yamakawa's own goal now, reflecting in off the defender, but it's relatively academic as far as Avispa are concerned. They don't care who scored, they're in front at the champions, looking for their first points of the season. Osaka welcomed to the action by Kamishima. If he was hurt there, it was on landing really as much as anything. 34 now, Yuya Osaka, 25 goals in 57 caps for Japan in his 5th season with Vissel Kobe since returning from that spell in Europe, signed from Werder Bremen. Making his 250th J1 appearance today. Much expected of him to try and turn this situation around for his side. No surprise it's as you were for Avispa Fukuoka as they look for their first points under Kim Myung-hui. Japanese-born South Korean coach in his first season in charge. Interesting to see how they approach this second period. They were on the front foot, they had more of the possession, more of the attempts in that first half, but now that they've got the lead to defend, does it become a temptation to sit back a bit more? Certainly won't be taking too many risks, you wouldn't imagine. Considered the free kick here, the foul on Hamasaki. Had just found a little bit of space there, but it didn't quite work as intended for them. Kitajima was heavily involved in that first half, wasn't he? That combination between he and Fujimoto down the left. It's a familiar source of trouble for Vissel Kobe. Fujimoto it is who will take the throw here. Osako. There's that little bit of extra quality, doesn't he? Immediately apparent. Looks like he's joined Sasaki up top. So a slight tweak to the formation as well because of that substitution and the withdrawal of Hashimoto at half-time. If anything, Sasaki will be a bit deeper now. It's by Tomoya Ando. His third straight start, having signed from Oita Trinita, the J2 team for this season. A couple of years in the second tier. Khalifa getting involved. Mikawa going down. Sasaki the target for the longer ball. It will be kept in play by Hirose. He's gone straight in at left back, like for like replacement for Hidaka. Neither of them in their preferred position really in that role. As Teshiro deals with the danger. Helped on by Kono. Before Yamauchi was able to come away with it, the referee has stepped in and given the free kick. Avispa Fukuoka already going one better than they'd managed in the previous 5 meetings between the clubs in scoring today. It's the first goal that they've got against Vissel Kobe since Lukian's winner in the second leg of the J-League Cup quarter-final, the summer of 2022. Possibilities in attack again here. With Kitashima on the move, Fujimoto in support. It's the shot away which the goalkeeper found a little too hot to handle there. It didn't quite come for Kitashima. But Maikawa made hard work of it. And Fujimoto sent it his way. He's just able to cut inside and create a glimpse of goal for himself. Second at this stage would be significant, certainly. Will be given here. He's made a bit of a difference already, Osako. He's certainly given the visiting defence a bit more to think about. And has got the free kick here. And those 2 half-time changes. Hirose coming on for Hidaka, who we think now will be credited with that own goal. It was he that attempted to clear it off the line, and it proved to be his last contribution of note, of course. Drawn at the break. Goal coming just before half-time. So his first ever J1 start ending early. He will remember it really for all the wrong reasons. But without him, Vissel Kobe trying to undo the damage. His replacement, Hirose, former Kashima Antlers player. Started the first couple of games of the J1 season. Again, the referee was in a good position. Again, he's given the free kick, and this time he is reaching for the card as well. Kamajima's challenge. Sasaki certainly felt that one. He'd made the run between the 2 defenders. It did come his way. Kawashima will again perhaps feel unfortunate there. I'll argue there wasn't much that he could have done to get out of the way, but he has gone into the book. Osako set to assume responsibility. Certainly involved in the conversation. You would imagine he'd be the favourite to strike it from here. Yamuchi and Hamasaki on their knees in front of the wall. This is a little bit different. Well, she might fancy it as well. This looks like something they've been plotting on the training ground. The referee still not yet happy for the free kick to be taken. It's taken a fair bit of organising as this one. Let's see what they've got. Osako, after that long wait, will strike it straight at the wall. Well, it needs a bit more work, I think, that one. After all of the big build-up, it comes to very little. Goalkeeper slip, but still got decent distance on the clearance. Hamasaki. He was trying to shepherd that out of play. In the end, he was hoping, I think there might have been a free kick forthcoming prior to that, but not so. And the throw's gone the other way as well. Not much really going for Vissel Kobe at the moment, but they're not making it happen. He'll always provide them with hope, Osako, but he didn't provide the free kick that they required a moment ago. And that will be a free kick the other way. Contact there came from Hirose, and he caught Ben Khalifa. So a lengthy word of warning, but no more this time. They certainly felt entitled to challenge for that, and both, in fairness, had their foot relatively high. Looks like he could become an important player under Kim, does Ben Khalifa. At the age of 33, player capped 4 times by Switzerland. Well, that's beautifully done. They picked her way through brilliantly, and then a deflection on the shot. Could have taken it anywhere. In the end, it helps it clear the crossbar. But excellent in the build-up as it opened up for Matsuoka. Little flick as well from Miki, who was involved. Ben Khalifa also played the pass with back to goal. And the final attempt from Fujimoto. It's like a relatively hefty deflection. Still the opportunity from the corner kick. Yuji Kitajima is waiting to take it. And does so with a deeper delivery that was there to be attacked, but never quite troubling the target. Up from the back was Tomoya Ando. He wasn't able to make the most of that one. His last career goal came for Oita Trinita in J2 in the summer of 2023. Scored twice in the second tier, 7 goals in the third tier, but never yet in the top flight. This is his first season at this level. Osako did well. Held on to it under pressure, tries to create some space for his teammate Sasaki. He's the one that provided him with the option. Back for Osako. As the frustrations build. The right boot just went from under him as the ball came back his way. Goals last season for Yuya Osako, having signed that new long-term contract at the club off the back of his MVP title-winning season. Didn't quite hit the same sort of numbers last year, but was still hugely important in the retention of their title. He was the joint top scorer in 2023 when they won it. Followed by Hirose. Sasaki, unable to make it stick. Nearly for Kitashima. Away by Iwanami, held up by Osako. There's that awareness to bring others into it. Hamasaki playing it wider. Ino will try and provide the cross just over the head of Sasaki. Set up to be struck. But it had to be perfect, really, from there, and it wasn't. More of a goal threat about Vissel Kobe in this second half. It's not saying a lot, relatively, from what went before. The Fukuoka lead is starting to look a little more fragile. Kuwasaki it was who struck it, but well off target, so it's the cue for another couple of regulars to be summoned off the bench. Matheus Tula and Takehiro Ogihara had both started every game so far this season until today. They are on for Matsuda and Ino. And that will require another little bit of a reshuffle, really. Matheus Tula, a centre-back by trade, and Ogihara has been playing a defensive midfield role. Oh, he is capable of operating elsewhere, but it won't be a like-for-like change. See how that settles down. An hour in, Coach Yoshida certainly sensing that something had to change. Has had a response since half-time, but not enough of one, really, for his liking, and still they haven't quite come up with the quality required, the champions today, that he knows they are capable of. Something of a rarity to see a starting lineup without Matheus Tula and Takehiro Ogihara. Tula only missed 2 games last season, both through suspension. Ogihara started 34 of 38. And now it's Avispa Fukuoka's turn to make the changes. Familiar figure coming on, Wellington, for Nassim Ben Khalifa, back at a former club. He will take the place of the Swiss international up top. 11 goals in 43 appearances in this division for Vissel Kobe between 2018 and 2020. Started on match day 1 of this season for Avispa. He's come off the bench in every game since then. He's immediately onto the ball here. And play that same role as Ben Khalifa. Change of personnel, but not of shape or system. The Brazilian Wellington. It's a 3rd season of his 2nd spell with Avispa Fukuoka. He was also with them prior to that spell that he had in Kobe. Vastly experienced in this league, and that now could be important in what remains today, as well as that presence that he gives them up front. Working it wider here to Kazuya Kono. Taken away from him by Tula, former Flamengo player. He's so important in this Vissel Kobe team. Key figure in the side that has taken the title in each of the last 2 years. It's his 4th campaign with the club now in total. Matsuoka. Ando working it wider. For Fujimoto and back again. Yuzawa was the target, but it didn't get that far. I think the three centre-back system has worked well for Avispa Fukuoka so far today. They've played with a back four and a three at various stages of the season, and this only, of course, the fourth match week. Yoshida admitted he didn't quite know what to expect from them today, as Fujimoto and Kitajima again attempt to combine. They went to the back three in midweek against Frontale and have stuck with it today. Having started with a flat back four in the first two games of the season. Coach Kim still trying to work out, I think, his best system with the players that he has at his disposal. The club having made significant changes to the squad during the course of the transfer window so far. A transfer window, of course, just to remind you, that is still open in Japan and will be until late this month, towards the end of March. Clubs are still able to do their business. Hirose. Sasaki with the cross into a much more threatening area. Cleared out as far as Okihara. His fellow replacement Mateus Tula has to scamper after that one to retrieve it. Hirose. Sasaki. Showing his versatility, looks to be staying pretty tight to the touchline wide on the left now. This is better, and towards Osako. Big chance for him. His movement is causing issues, but having put himself in that position, both he and his coach will have been disappointed not to see the equalising goal go in. He was onside. Hamasaki, who played it into his path, and having reached it first, he would have been expecting the net to bulge really from there. A certain section of the support, I think, thought it was in. Still just the one attempt they've had on target in the game. Avispa Fukuoka with twice as many attempts as the home team, and this could be another one for them with Kono, if they can fashion something from it. Kono had continued his run, almost came for Wellington. There's more in that, I think, for Avispa, but they do have the ball back with Ando. They have some space as well for Yuzawa. Three tight to the touchline. Sasaki's attempted clearance, and then the referee steps in. Painful one for Deju Sasaki, not for the first time this afternoon. Coming together with Miki. That was wide. Time beginning to tick away for Vissel Kobe. Closing quarter of the contest now that we're entering. Certainly won't want to leave it as late as midweek with that stoppage time equaliser from Sasaki in the Kansai derby. 101st minute of the match. It certainly sends a chance today to get their first win on the board against the team at the bottom of the table. If it stays like it is for too much longer, then a fourth straight draw might be seen as a relative success if they could salvage something. Would certainly fall well short of what they hoped for at the start of the day. Those fouls mounting up, aren't they? It's been a physical affair. Plenty forward for the free kick here. Helped on effectively. Still not yet entirely dealt with. Osako trying to reach it, and does. Plenty in the penalty area here, but it's just too high for Sasaki. Was trying to hang in the air and couldn't quite reach it. maybe the counter. Wellington across. But Yamakawa went with it. One club man, Tetsushi Yamakawa. 7th senior season now with Vissel Kobe. He's one of the leaders in the side, wearing the armband today, but they've lost it here. Wellington didn't quite come for Kone. Yuzawa. Back for Tashiro, who hit the bar in the first half before they went in front. Reminder that it might have been more. Tula shimmies into a little bit of space. Tried to play the pass for Hamasaki. Kono, strong run, and there will be a free kick for him at the end of it. And a good game so far. Season was his best in front of goal, and he's continued to look a threat as they make changes going into the last 20 minutes. Shintaro Nago, significant signing for this season after 6 years at Kashima Antlers, is going to come on, and so too will Kanamori. Much more experienced player in his second spell with Avispa. Kono is one of those coming off, and Kitajima will make way as well. This is just a case really of freshening things up for what remains. The two being brought off have more than played their part in putting their team in this position. Yuzawa. The fact they were able to leave Nago on the bench is an indication maybe of the increasing strength in depth at Avispa this season. It was a creative threat for Kashima, was Nago last year. 9 assists in J1, was the joint second most of any player in the division. He's being called for what remains. What can they create from this, from the corner? Nago immediately is the one that's gone across to take it. He'd started the last 2 games before getting a breather on the bench today after that full midweek round of fixtures. Nago to take. Did it with some pace. Wellington rising. Tashiro in there as well. Couldn't divert it goalwards, but did try and keep the danger alive. Kobe able to clear, and now maybe to come clear on the counter. On by Ogihara, onto Hirose. He's got room in which to work. Tashiro got back though, doing the day job to deal with that. Hirose again. Ogihara. Over 300 games in the top flight of the J-League for Ogihara. Goes from Hamasaki towards Osako, again makes it his, so strong in those sort of situations, but thwarted this time by the flag. Offside given over on the far side. Just a shade off as that was helped his way by Sasaki. Onside from the initial pass that I think he thought was aimed in his direction anyway. It's the one that he timed his run to. To the frustration of Wellington, the free kick's gone against him. Still Avispa lead, a team that have won only 3 of their last 20 games in J1, going back to June of last year. In contrast, actually, to the run that preceded that, they'd won 5 of 6. 1 in 10 on their travels since a 1-0 success at FC Tokyo on the 30th of June. Still lead here, but there's a red card this time for Kamijima. That might change matters. Osako on the receiving end. Kamijima, who was cautioned earlier in the half, shown the red this time. For the use of the elbow, I think, looking at that, the referee was stationed just behind them. The arm came across, or the forearm rather than the elbow, but there was clear contact there. And it was judged to be deliberate by referee Wader. So Kamijima is off. A goal up, but a player short for what remains this closing quarter of an hour or so. That does leave Avispa Fukuoka with a big problem and under real pressure from here. One of the new signings has slotted in seamlessly at the start of the season under Kim, but they have to make do without him. He played every minute of their season so far. Fresh hope maybe for Yasuda's team to try and salvage this from here now in the changing circumstances. Forward will go the free kick, and that's the goalkeeper's ball. Kamijima with 3 previous career reds in this league from his days with Kashiwa Reysol. How costly will this one prove to be? We shall see. Reorganisation required, hence another couple of changes are incoming to try and limit the disadvantage now that they have numerically. Yuto Iwasaki is going to come on. To see a change for the home team as well. Ida for Yamauchi, another of the regulars, thrown into the fray for what remains in midfield. So here come the Avispa changes. Fujimoto first to make way. Iwasaki and Takaki Sishi coming on, so Sishi will replace Fujimoto on the left, and I think it's going to be Miki, isn't it? Yeah, here's the other player that comes off. So interestingly, they've not really brought an extra defender on to cover for Kamijima. They'll probably switch to the back 4 here. Sishi will go to left back. Trying to play that one forward. He then goes down, having already released the pass, so he'll get the free kick. And just try and disrupt things here, Avispa Fukuoka. I have to say, they've done relatively well in this second half. Towards Wellington once more. Yuzawa was just kept in play by Ogihara. There's Osaka. First involvement for Ida. Started the previous two games. He's continued his run. Osako a target in the middle as well. Murakami comes and makes it his. Good claim by the goalkeeper. They've got a dozen more minutes plus whatever is added on after that to try and hold on to what they have. With 10 after the dismissal of Kamijima. Picked up that yellow card earlier in the second half. It did look like a straight red offence that saw him dismissed, which will of course spell a lengthier suspension for him. His team holding on without him for now. Vissel Kobe looking like they will need another late show if they're to rescue something. Ogihara. Hirose. Expect them to dominate possession from here on in, certainly, but it just runs away from them on that occasion. Summing up the story to an extent for the champions. They've not found their fluency, not found their threat frequently enough. It's been the case for much of the season so far, but certainly a case in point this afternoon. Do have that big game in the Champions League in midweek at home to Guangzhou, the first leg of the last 16, having finished 5th of 12 in the league phase in the East. 5 points behind Yokohama F. Marinos, their domestic rivals, who topped the lot. They qualified comfortably for the next stage, the knockout stages. Of course, by virtue of winning the title last season, indeed the domestic double, they'll be back in that competition again next season regardless, but under real pressure here just at the moment. Not made to pay on that occasion. Covering good ground. There's Tula as well taking over. Both up from the back. Plenty packing the penalty area, awaiting the delivery. Ida has lost it to Yuzawa. Stayed down after the coming together between the two of them, but on we go. Osako dropping deeper to get involved this time. Yamakawa taking over. Osako. Mateus Tula. Wider here is Ogihara. He's the one that swings the cross in. Hasn't entirely been dealt with as a touch for Hamasaki, who will get it back again and then flicks it in threateningly. Murakami was required, and there were enough back in white to help him out and to get it away. But finally now, Avispa Fukuoka looking vulnerable. Vissel Kobe sensing their chance maybe. Coming back there from the offside position was Sasaki, so made no attempt to get on the end of it, but because of that it runs away from them. We'll hope that the clock doesn't do likewise. It's much more threatening. Still a save that Murakami would certainly expect to make from there, and did. Sasaki calling him into action. 5 goals he got last season. Opened his account for the current campaign in midweek. That was his 15th career goal in J1. He hasn't been prolific. He has played a variety of different roles in attack. Not always been the central striker, certainly. And he's a target here for Hamasaki, one of many in the middle, and he wasn't able to locate any of them. Too much on that from Kento Hamasaki. Only lost 2 of 22 in J1 coming into this, Vissel Kobe, but still they trail today. Their only defeat in the last 16 league games was here against FC Tokyo in October. They're so consistent in retaining their crown in that previous campaign. And they ended up 22 points and 11 places clear of today's opponents. But if this stays as it is, they will be on level on points 4 games into the new season. What a lift it would give Avispa Fukuoka, having started with those 3 successive defeats, if they do hold on here. He's got a fairly frustrated figure as Takayuki Yoshida for much of the match. There was already talk about Kim Young-Hui coming under pressure after the start that his team had made. New look team playing a new style, losing the first 3 games, but all only by a 1-goal margin. Did seem a little harsh. This would be quite some response, and they're still searching for a second. Nago. Referee will pull that one back. So the signing of the likes of Shintaro Nago and some of the other new arrivals that they made, looking to build on a very positive campaign last time around. Silverware, of course, in the season that went before, in 2023. There was real optimism that this could be another season of development for Avispa Fukuoka, another campaign at which they not only established themselves in the J-League, but threatened to challenge higher up the table. That's why the opening 3 defeats were so disappointing in that context, even if there might have been extenuating circumstances somewhat. Cut out by Mathias Tula. Ogihara. Wider from Kuwasaki. Defended well though, haven't they, Avispa? Again, that's something that hasn't changed from last season on this evidence. Wellington still down here as Vissel Kobe play on and almost find Sasaki. He looked like he was going to get in behind for a split second or so. Wellington helped back to his feet by his compatriot Mathias Tula, his direct opponent really in the latter stages. But it was on landing after rising with Kuwasaki that he hurt himself here. Got a long way off the ground. Kuwasaki didn't really leave the floor. Didn't necessarily need to. And that would mean much, wouldn't it, to Kim? If they hold on here. Couple of years as Go Kuroda's assistant at Machida Zelvia. He was previously in charge at Sagan Tosu. He had 3 years in the job there. So stepping back up to the top job this year. It's with Sagan Tosu that he started his coaching career in their academy over a dozen years ago now. Couple of minutes of the 90 remaining. Sasaki again the target for that longer ball, but again it just skips away from him. Murakami will come and collect, and how he would love the clean sheet on his first appearance of the season. And certainly bank some credit in the race with Yuma Obata to be their first choice goalkeeper. Takumi Nagashi might be involved in that conversation as well. He played 13 times last season. Goalkeeping gloves are hotly contested. It's a position in which they have real strength and depth. Yamakawa's clearance. Wellington. preventing the cross from coming in. He's the one that shifted out to that right-hand side after the changes from centre-back, the former Urawa Reds defender, but Kobe born. Second season of his second spell with his home city side. That defence coming under a little more pressure here, but again the whistle had gone, the flag had gone up. Two previous J-League meetings between these clubs. Avispa have only ever won 3 of them. That might be set to change today. We will find out in about 30 seconds or so how much added time there will be. The stage of the game in which Vissel Kobe scored their equaliser in midweek. And they have to go long, really. Looking for Osako that time. It nearly came for Hamasaki. And again, just over the head of Osako. Cleared by Tashiro, not really convincingly, but it's away from immediate danger. Back in by Ogihara. And straight through to Murakami. And there's your answer, 5 additional minutes from here for Vissel Kobe to try and salvage something. To try and preserve their unbeaten start. Even if a first win looks beyond them. They've never got close enough, really, to suggest that they were capable of it today, having certainly started the afternoon as the firm favourites. Height and distance from Yuzawa. Wellington trying to pick up the pieces. And clearly felt that he was struck in the face. The referee let it go initially. Has to check on his well-being with the possibility of the head injury here. Contact, maybe not quite to the extent to merit that reaction, but Wellington was caught and he will try and tick the clock down because time is not on his team's side. Everyone forward for Vissel Kobe. Iwanami forward. Again, it's over the head of Osako, but he's first back to his feet. Only to see it taken off his toes. Touch for Kuwasaki. Indirectly again, dealt with by Tashiro. He rose the highest. Can they hold on for this clean sheet, the 10? He's in the way of most things at the moment, Masaya Tashiro. That's a better ball, slipped through, lovely little flick, Sasaki! And the clearance off the line from Tashiro this time. That's another one that he's kept out. And Deju Sasaki seems set to score. As close as they've come probably at any point in the game to getting their goal, Vissel Kobe. Halfway through stoppage time. Now they look a threat. But has it come too late? Hamasaki. Mateus Tula. Kuwasaki, he was involved in that neat build-up a moment ago. In by Yamakawa. Not quite where they wanted it, though. Hirose is able to provide the cross. And that's a little bit of a let-off for Avispa Fukuoka. They're trying to shepherd the ball out of play for the throw. In the end, Hirose was able to deliver unchallenged in towards Mateus Tula. Only now is he getting back to his feet again. Ogihara's gone across to take the corner. Now they're applying the pressure all right. Still harbour hopes of another late show here for the second time in the space of 4 days. Takehiro Ogihara. Helped on and then behind. Turned behind by Masato Yuzawa for another corner. Avispa Fukuoka defending with all they have here to try and get themselves over the line. 15 clean sheets they kept in J1 last season. Can they hold on for their first of 2025? Hirose's corner. Again, it was well defended, but it turned a bit more menacingly initially when it left the boot of Kuosaki. Certainly if it had taken a touch on the way through, every chance it would have done given the posse of players it came through, but not so this time. And there won't be time for many more. This was brilliant though in the build-up, wasn't it? And Sasaki, having got the better of Murakami, found Tashiro on the line in the way. And he really has come up with a captain's contribution today. Masaya Tashiro. Series of big blocks in his own penalty area, and then that one from off his own goal line. Having seen his central defensive partner Kamijima sent off, with a quarter of an hour of the 90 still to play at that stage. But the 10 are hanging on and they are almost there. 5 added minutes have been played. That is the full-time whistle. And these are the first points of the season for Avispa Fukuoka, off the bottom of the table. First points under Kim Myung-hui, and they've come at the home of the champions. And Vissel Kobe's unbeaten start to the season now becomes a winless start to the season, because after 3 straight draws they are beaten at home here, and Avispa move level on points with them, having turned the tables on them and got a vital victory over Vissel, something they've not been able to manage in recent years. But the own goal late in the first half has proved enough, despite the sending off of Kamijima. Vissel Kobe's pressure came late, but it was too late to make a difference. They couldn't make it count, and it has cost them. Full time at NOEVIR Stadium. Vissel Kobe 0, Avispa Fukuoka 1. Well, the glum faces on the home team's players' faces just show exactly the setback that they've suffered here, the nature of it, because make no mistake about it, despite the changes they made to their team, this was a game that they expected to win. And having failed to win any of the first 3 this season, it was a game really that they needed to win, despite that huge Champions League tie looming in midweek. But for Avispa Fukuoka, on the wrong end of 3 one-goal defeats to start the campaign, to come here and kickstart their campaign will means so much, and could be so important for what is to come in 2025. Having got this victory, the manner of it, the way that they earned it, the way that they had to hang on, the goal that they scored, a touch fortunate maybe with the deflection and the missed clearance on the goal line late in the first half, but they'd already hit the bar by then. They'd been the better team, they'd been the more attack-minded team in the first half. And having got that goal, they were able to hold on to it by showing the sort of defensive resilience that they became familiar for last year. Change of coach and a change of playing style since then, but that defensive quality was certainly still on show, and it had to be late in the game, particularly after the sending off of Kamijima.
ディフェンディングチャンピオンの神戸相手にクリーンシートで勝利を収めました。今の気持ち聞かせてください。
開幕してから苦しい状況すごく続いてて、サポーターにも本当に情けない思いさせて、なんとか勝ち点3届けたかったんで、今日もあれだけ僕らの背中を押してくれて本当力強かったですし、今日笑顔で返すことができて本当に嬉しいです。
この勝ち点3が取れたのはアディショナルタイム田代選手のクリア